Okay, so now we're going to look at a sequence from the guard where these options I'm about to show are all related by structure. They initially have me sitting up and reaching across with my right arm across his right shoulder. All right, so since they're all similar in that respect, then they can link together really well, depending on what he knows, and depends on what does he do in response. A beginner may not know anything, so he doesn't realize what's happening to him, and the first thing you go for works. But a person with some experience, or who just has the common sense to pull back on something when he feels like it's not a good idea, that means you have to follow up. You have to take into account what he's doing and go to the next option. So Austin is over here this time. He's in my guard, and what makes him a good candidate for this series of options is I can't have his hands on me. I need his hands on the floor. So it might be here, he's up here, and I might pop this way, or I might come under and break through. But I use my legs to bring him forward so that his weight is falling forward, forcing him to use his arms to hold himself up. All right? Now, the common tendency is to grab the wrist first, but as soon as I do that, he'll post his leg and stand up tall, like that. And now you see I can't do any of these things. His shoulder is way too high up for me to reach across it. So if he knows better, if he knows that once somebody grabs his wrist, he does that, then I'm not going to grab the wrist first. I'm not going to tip my hand. What I'll do instead is I'll hold his head down, put my feet on the mat, and I'm going to sit up and just bring my chest and shoulder to this shoulder of his. Get close to that shoulder. I might even start to just keep this arm around close to my chest and stomach and just sort of keep my arm there, but I'm not going to grab anything. That way he has nothing to react to yet as far as his arm goes. Then as I snake around his arm, then I'm going to grab his wrist and grab my wrist almost at the same time. Now it's a question of whether he tries to bury his arm or not. If I get this much and I can already lie back and scoop my hips out, I might get this kimura right off the bat. But as I get this much, if he brings it in and tries to save it there, I could then grapevine his leg on the opposite side and use that to spread and extend this arm free and get my kimura. But I might give up on the kimura altogether and say, okay, if his arm is in, I grab that arm, then I have a free arm here to post behind me, raise my hips up and turn over to mount. I still have a play on that arm if I wanted to bail out to side control and get the kimura, or I could just stay with the mount. All right, it's a successful sweep in any event. But when I go up for this, here, if his arm is too strong, let's say I'm going for this and he buries it, and then I'm like, okay, I can't get the kimura out. I try for the sweep, he won't go. I use this energy as a load, or even here, as a load up for then rocking back and then getting the kimura. Use that momentum to break the arm free. You may get that, but if you don't, then neither the sweep nor the kimura are working, then you give up on this arm and you go to the neck. So now I'm sitting up and I thread through the neck, get this nice and tight. Grab my right wrist with my left hand, just a standard kimura, guillotine for now, and I lie back, catch him above the waist so that I can send him down. It's the legs that really drive that choke. Your arm is just holding onto his neck, and then the downward pressure pulling him down into it is what makes it a choke. So don't just let your legs relax and strain with your arms. Get it tight first, and then when your legs push him down, that's what tightens the choke. It also cranks his neck a little bit. But from here, if he blocks my choke that way by grabbing it with his hand, then I'm going to come under this arm, join my hands together, and now I'm going to pull him tight to me so he can't get his head out. I'm going to lie back and then slide my hips to the right, and he can't resist this. I set my leg over, and you come up to me. I might be able to even submit him there. I get under this arm, walk my arms. It's a neck crank, so you wouldn't want to do this to your friends in sparring. But at the extreme, he'll actually suffocate. Can't breathe. It's also very uncomfortable. But we mostly use it in here as a sweep to get to mount. So as I set up for this, try for the sweep, try for the kimura, couldn't get it. Tried for the guillotine, couldn't get it. Came under here, joined my hands together, lie back. But as he grabs my wrist against the guillotine, another thing you can do is come under with this hand and go and sit up tall. So just to show it, open this up. I reach under and I grab his wrist this way. And now watch what happens. So I'm going for the guillotine, I can't get it. So I reach under and I grab his wrist, like this, and I'm holding it, and then I lie back with a triangle from there. Because his arm was trapped for the moment, and that enabled me to set my right leg over his shoulder. So if I sat up for this, and he went for the guillotine, he stops it, I might come under here, lie back and roll, but as he initially grabbed it, I come under and grab his wrist, and now I can set this leg over his shoulder, cross my ankles, hips high, arm across, grab the head, foot on the hip, rotate, grab the ankle or the shin, and then set in your triangle from there. So you also can connect a failed guillotine to a triangle choke. It's about manipulating the arms and knowing seeing what he's doing with his hands.